on this roof that they're all off the roof. I am on the roof of exposure 4. Got fire through the roof of the fire building in the entire rear section. Now remember, given the payday, has it been accounted for? Okay. 610B. That was the payday. 610B.
I'm here. We got a fire. 1.5-story single-family dwelling. Fire shown from the second floor. Give me a second alarm on this.
Bring up to the top floor. I got people hanging out the top floor windows with a baby.
Commercial building. A lot of fire, a lot of smoke. Go ahead and strike a third alarm on my orders on this.
Got people on the front fire escape here with windows centered below them. We need somebody up there.
Yeah, let them know we got a job. I'm pulling up now. Second alarm, I got a 1-story single-family frame. Heavy fire showing from the attic.
So we're using all hands. We got one line stretch, fire on the 4th floor, second line being stretched. Primary searches are underway.
Hey, welcome to our fire engineering podcast, The Command Post. I'm Chief Rick Lasky, along with my teacher partner and best friend, Chief John Salka. And we've got another great show lined up for you today. A couple quick reminders, as we always do at the beginning of the show. Don't forget about our Hump Day Hangouts. John and I and Chief Terry McGrath, Chief Scott Thompson have the third Wednesday of every month right here at fireengineering.com at noon Central Time. FDIC is, we're going to talk about that in a second here, is right around the corner. But our third Wednesday in April ends up landing on the week of FDIC. So we won't be doing a show, a Hump Day, but we will be doing our radio booth shows, which is really cool, John. At FDIC, they set up this glass, right, live radio booth last year. It's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you remember the crowd we had outside that booth?
Yeah, it's out in the public hallway in the exhibit, in the convention center. It's great.
Oh yeah, people are knocking on the window like we're the puppies in the pet store. I got a question. That's what we talked about. We got to do like a microphone because they're always going, I got a question for you. And the time flew by. Everybody's right there. It's like being on Fox News, in the city where everybody can walk up. So we'll be doing that, and we'll be back with our Hump Day Hangout the third Wednesday in May. But again, a reminder about FDIC. Here we are. Here we are, man. It's here. We talk about it all year long. If you haven't signed up, we're getting ready to max out our seating in our workshop. John and I've said this before. You asked for it, you got it back. 5-alarm leadership, real leadership, real people is a program we started doing in the mid '90s there, and we did it for a long time, John. Remember? And every time we talk about shaking up, doing something different, you and I'd look out in the classroom and it was full every year, and so they kept asking. So you got your wish, folks. John and I have it back. So Monday workshop in the afternoon, 4 hours. But you got to sign up if you're coming to the pre-conference workshops for hot training or the hot workshops. You got to sign up, and we're almost maxed out with our seating. It goes quick, so don't hesitate. If you've been waiting to sign up to like the week before. You need to go ahead and get it done now. And then we'll be doing our 3 Degrees of Mayday right after opening ceremonies on Wednesday. We talked about this the other day, John. Well, first of all, Chief Scott Thompson, our partner, Scotty is doing the opening keynote on Wednesday.
Very cool.
And the author of the best-selling book, The Functional Fire Company, Chief Scott Thompson from the Colony, Texas. And Scott's going to light him up, man. I'm so excited. I told him the other day, John, I don't know who I'm more excited for him or for those of us sitting in the audience,
It's going to be great.
Scott is just awesome. And then talk about our good friend, your good friend, our good friend, Steve Chikarotis.
The man.
On Thursday. What's he receiving?
Yep. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward. Talk about a well-deserved recognition for a great guy that toils and works and inspires people all day, every day.
Oh, it is Steve Chikarotis. For those that, if you don't know him, I don't know what rock you've been living under or where you've been hiding out, what tunnel, but Steve worked with the city of Chicago for a long ass time, all the way through every single rank, was an incredible firefighter, company officer, chief officer, retires as deputy district chief. He was a squad guy, a heavy rescue squad guy. For those that don't know for that, you definitely know him from Chicago Fire. You see him on there, but he's the technical advisor for Chicago Fire. In fact, all those shows, but really Chicago Fire. And from Backdraft, anything filmed in Chicago with the fire department. So if you're at FDIC and you're there Thursday, I could pretty much guarantee you're going to see some stars. Not quite as famous as Chief John Salka, who was on Chicago Fire. Not quite as famous as him, but some of John's fellow actors from the show, Steve's guys and gals are going to be there. So a chance probably to be able to see some of them, meet them. They're awesome. They're very down to earth. But congratulations to our good friend Steve Chikarotis, as they call him.
Looking forward to being there.
So again, folks, we say this
Actually, he's the consulting producer now for the show. He got kicked up a little bit. Yeah.
Of course. Yep. And the weight he carries on the show is phenomenal, isn't it? The respect. I mean, they love him, don't they?
And you know, having talked to him about it a number of times, a lot of the issues and a lot of the themes of some of the shows are right out of his career, things that he experienced and stuff like that. So it just makes it even more interesting and more original, you know, more legitimate.
Oh, it does. And he's Steve, we've said this for years. Steve's a gentleman. He's a great guy. He's the definition of a fire service brother and family member. He's always got time for you. He's a sweetheart. He's a good guy. He's smart. I'm so excited for him. He was so gracious last year, John, because he was supposed to receive it last year. And then Bobby passed away. And we asked him, would you mind holding off a year? For, those of us on the advisory board, Chief Rhodes asked him, would you mind holding off a year? We'd like to recognize Bobby. And Steve was like, in fact, Steve even said, John, that was going to be my recommendation. Please recognize Bobby, our good friend, Chief Bobby Halton, and push me aside. And we're not pushing you aside, but we would be honored if you would allow us to present you with that award next year. So
right.
Good for him. But again, if you don't see us there, we're in the book booth. If you don't see us there, we'll be at the CSU booth. We'll be Thursday at 3:00. We'll be every year we're at our Dingus Fire family. Jeff Bryant, Chief Amboy Fire Department, Illinois, and Assistant Chief Nick Dingus from the Sublette Fire Department. Nick Dingus and Jeff, the CEO and the COO of Dingus Fire, they always help us. And we're doing a book signing there. So come on by and see us at the booth. Again, we'll be all over the place. You'll see us at the restaurants. They have a full dance card for John. And the moment we get there, they got us going different places and meet with different people. So it's the show we never miss. It's FDIC. So we hope we get to see you there. If not, a lot of it's going to be live. It'll be live streamed, so you can catch it if you can't make it. And one of the things real quick, John, before we move on from FDIC, I think this is really cool. Chief Rhodes, our new boss, so David, I should say new, he's been with FDIC for 25 plus years. David, I think he's got a medal. Here's my coffee. He's got a medal this big he wears because he got that for being the union president for 20 years in Atlanta. Anyone that's the union president in Atlanta deserves a gigantic medal for bravery on their chest. He retired as a battalion chief for 32 years. Dave's the real deal. He's already done some great things, some great adjustments. His leadership's been phenomenal, him and his partner, Diane Rothschild. So, but David's going around, John, and I thought that he talked about the ambassadorship. He formed this where he wants the advisory board to go to, in the past, you and I'd be invited to another conference. And if it was a competitor, if you will, they kind of frowned on that, and all that. And David was like, no, we don't work that way. A conference is a conference. David's theory is a chance to educate a firefighter is a chance to educate a firefighter. It doesn't matter where the venue is. FDIC is a big conference, and everybody can get there. So he is so great about, John, go to fire. You're at Firehouse Expo here. God bless you, man. Because guys come up to you at Firehouse Expo and they go, hey, Chief, are you going to be at Indy this year? Or they come up to you at Indy and go, they don't know the difference. They just go to the conferences. So David is so good about that, buddy. And not only
is he good about it, he's promoting it. He's doing it himself. I'm presenting at an upcoming conference that he's giving a keynote for at a conference that's not fire engineering. So just he's walking the walk and talking the talk.
Oh, he just and the other thing, lastly, he started doing this when we had our advisory board meeting, which we do every year. You and I proudly fire engineering when they were Penwell. Claria was Penwell. They bought the conference in '95. So I've been with the magazine since '95 as an editorial advisor and an author, and I've been with the conference since '96. So you know where my loyalties are. But now he's going around the conferences, some of the smaller conferences, John, across the country, and he'll get up to do a talk, and he'll go, "Okay, so who wanted to go to FDIC and who paid their own way to this conference?" Guy or gal raise their hand. I paid the $150 to be here myself. Your department didn't pay it. No, I paid it out of my own pocket and all that stuff, made my arrangements. Okay, have you ever been to FDIC? No, I love to, but it's kind of hard paying the conference fee and all that stuff because it's not cheap. And David grabs somebody from the audience, John, that wanted to go to FDIC, maybe couldn't afford the whole thing, and he gives him a free conference pass. And I go, that is just absolutely phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal with what he's trying to do. Let me adjust this a little bit here. There we go. Is that a little bit better, buddy? So as you could tell, I'll talk about this in a second. This is the end. This is our show that we're doing right now. We just moved to Colorado so you could tell with the boxes behind me, we're still packed and we haven't unpacked anything yet. So I'm kind of operating off a tray with my laptop. Normally you see my studio behind. So I try to get the glare from the window out of the way. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. There's FDIC. David's doing some great things. He's out there reaching out to people that may not have been able to afford it. I've never heard of that before. Going to another conference and going, look, here you go. Here's a free pass. So David's doing great stuff. So come see us at FDIC. That's for my new job, and we'll talk about that in a second. We had to cancel and postpone and remove a lot of things because you can't be the fire chief when you're traveling all over. But FDIC is FDIC, and that's my other family, if you will. So, buddy, real quick before I talk about Estes Valley Fire in Colorado, I know it's killing you because folks, prior to going live here, John's got a structure fire he's at with his Valley department, and it's driving. He's a little. Can you tell he's antsy? He's been doing this the whole time. He's like this. He's always Chief McGrath is always like,
"Are we done yet?"
Yeah. They're like when we do some of our shows, John will be looking down the whole time, and Terry will message me and go, "Does Chief Salka need a hand finding something on his desk?" Right now, he's got his radios going. He's listening to the call. Where are we at? What are they doing? And usually I lose him. He's like, "Oh, gotta go. Got a structure fire." So, but we had a nice going away thing here, John. Wichita West Fire, my volunteer department here in Texas. Chief Ryan Fetzer, what a great boss. You've met Ryan a bunch of times. What a great chief. What a great group of officers and firefighters. We had a very nice going away. Oh God, I love them dearly. I always will. They always be part of my family. A lot of fires, a lot of wildland fires. You know that. I would call you every day. Hey, I'm at another one. Hey, I'm at another one. Hey, I'm at two. This is my third one today. Just a great group, a great progressive fire department. So I love you. I always will. But here we are in Estes Park, Colorado. I'm proudly serving as the new fire chief with the Estes Valley Fire Protection District. And John, I'm not going to go on too long about it. I just have to say, I was speaking to another one of our firefighters today before going live with you. What a great place. I've got great bosses. The board of directors are incredible. The staff, I don't know how to describe them. They're the dream staff. Our staff, my chief of staff, administrative assistant, all the chiefs, everybody working, full-time there. The staff is incredible. And the volunteers, every volunteer I've met so far, John, and you know this, you've been a Valley for 50 years, the whole time you're in FDNY. Only way I could describe it is that I can't just say absolutely incredible. They're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. They're crazy nut jobs about the fire service. I mean, it's fun watching them. It's fun seeing the pictures of them. It's fun talking to them. I can't wait to be around them. They are just there. You talk about being into the job. Our good buddy Tom Merrill, we're both in it. He wrote the book, The Professional Volunteer Fire Department.
He's the epitome, right? Yeah.
And and they are the definition of the Professional Volunteer Fire Department. It's incredible. So, but Wichita West, you'll always be part of my family. So, buddy, the title we talked about, the topic we talked about before going live, because you and I always just kind of pull a rabbit out of the hat. I know you're not supposed to do that nowadays, but we always kind of last minute go, what do you want to talk about? And this came up in class the other day. This came up for me in class the other day. I was teaching at a conference that's predominantly all volunteer. And I'll tell you, John, that, they talked about their staff. And I said, so you know how it is. When you go somewhere, you go, so tell me about your staff. How many guys you have doing this? How many people you have doing this? And I got this the other day, well, we've got our interior firefighters and we have our exterior firefighters. And the particular department I was visiting with, they have a line drawn in the sand. And I don't know, 45 years in the fire service, maybe I was raised differently, but where I come from, John, a firefighter is a firefighter. If you're an exterior fit, I know, and I want to get to you in a second because I know you have exterior firefighters in South Blooming Grove, great fire department there. We've always had exterior firefighters, and we'll talk about the reasons why, and interior firefighters. But on their helmet, it says firefighter. That's like saying, well, we have different front pieces for lieutenants, but you know what I'm saying? There's almost a division, and I think we need to call this show. We talk about the exterior firefighter, but a vital, quite often overlooked position. The exterior firefighter is actually critical to the success of not just fireground operations, but all operations. But let's just dwell for a while on fireground operations. So tell me first of all, your thoughts on the exterior firefighter and how it works with the South Blooming Grove Fire District in Orange County, New York. Well,
it's interesting because we have discussed this several times. Both you and I have exterior firefighters, a group of them in our departments. Obviously, they're very, very common, almost exclusive, but I'm sure not, to volunteer fire departments because there's a couple of reasons, which we'll get into again later. But so you have some folks that are just either by choice have decided not to be interior anymore. Maybe they've aged out. Maybe they've done 30 years and they get a little bit older. They still want to be active. They still want to respond to fires. They still have a lot of skills, but maybe they don't want to get an SCBA on to be crawling through a building anymore. Perfectly understandable. Some people, I don't want to say incapable. That's not the right word, but some people have chosen not to even get involved in that. Some people join and say, listen, here's what I'm going to do. I can help you do this. I can help you do that. They have a lot of skills and abilities. They certainly respond on the apparatus and have full firefighting gear, other than an SCBA. There's so much going on at work in fires. I mean, and listen, going to fires and operations and crashes, going on runs is, and we've all talked about that. That's just one small aspect of being a firefighter in any fire department, from the FDNY down to South Blooming Grove. Whether you're doing, 1 million runs a year or whether you're doing 200 runs a year. So a lot of exterior firefighters are heavily involved in the rest of the company operation. Some of them are the president as well, or, active members on runs and the guys that help run a pancake breakfast and guys that are there every drill night, working on the rigs and cleaning things and repairing stuff. And then when it comes to a fire, the only thing they don't do at a structural fire, and it's really only structural fires where they're different, is they don't go over that threshold into an ideal.
And go back to what you just said, because I pointed out already. You said, and I love it. I didn't want to skip past it when you just said, and it's only structural fires that they are a little bit different.
Right. Every other thing we do, every other confined space and extrications on the road and every other type of thing we do, they're full operational members. The only time they have to take a little step back is for structural fires. The one thing they're restricted from doing is operating on the interior, which is, why the issue of identifying them somehow at the emergency scene. So maybe a mutual aid chief or officer doesn't accidentally give an exterior firefighter an interior assignment without knowing it,
Well, so why do you think so many people, because I, as you've been talking, I've been jotting down I always say jotting down. You had my mind going here when you start talking about things, and we're going to talk about a little bit, all the tasks that they accomplished just at a fire. We're going to go through that in a second because I've been writing down as we've been talking. Why do you think so many overlook the vital importance of the position, though? The whole reason is this was a great fire department I was just at. I was just at a great fire department. You know, it wasn't like I went, oh my God, you should see this place. What a mess. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? It was, I don't know. Why do you think so many people overlook it? Is it just a thought process, or I always blame, what do we always blame? It's always about leadership.
Well,
if your leaders don't place importance and value on the people, then that's what's going to happen. Go ahead.
That's a great question because, firefighters are special. We all know that. What we do, going into burning buildings, putting ourselves in harm's way, which we do in a lot of scenes, but, in particular at structural fires. And there's such a high level of respect and admiration for interior structural firefighters, for the guys with the dirty gear and, the front pieces are all smoked up and stuff like that. So some people, just by default, they haven't actually thought about it. There's really no reason for it. But some people by default sort of write the guys off that are exterior firefighters because they don't do that thing that we all love and respect so much. And it's unjustified because they do so much. As we already said, you could list 1,000 things that firefighters do at car crashes and at technical rescue jobs and on medical calls and at every other kind of fire, except for a structural fire, right? And you can only identify one single item that they don't do, right? And it's go into the IDLH. So they are such valuable members. And the other thing that's amazing to me is, especially in the modern day, 2024, the volunteer fire service in the United States is really not in a strong, growing, healthy position. We're sort of, adrift on the sea right now. What a valuable way to attract some new people in, particularly the volunteer fire department. Say, you know what? And if that's something you're not comfortable with, you're a 45-year-old businessman, you just moved into town, you have no skills right now, but we will train you. If you really don't want to go interior, that's fine, but we're still going to use you. We're still going to train you. We're still going to give you gear. You're going to give you a full participating member, and you're going to be very helpful. And we'll go through that list here shortly of what they can do.
And John, there are two things so one is we all know we have some firefighters, no matter what you do for 30 years, they have a fear of heights. So we don't put them on ladders. We have some firefighters that have a little bit of claustrophobia. I'm just saying. So we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. So good leaders do what? They pick out the attributes, the strengths. They build on those weaknesses for those people, help build them up, through confidence and coaching and motivation and inspiration. But you know what I'm saying? Here's the thing, and you say this all the time, and you've heard me say this. We have different titles for people on the crews, from like the FDNY, the door or control versus backup and all this. So I've said this before. The heel man, that guy or gal that's heeling the hose on a fire attack, is such a key position, a key contributor to the success of that fire attack. That when they're not on that line and you're pulling hose by yourself or your captain, you very quickly realize how important that role is. Just like you said, nobody ever wants to be control. But so let's talk about if you run short on hose in a tenement, right? Because the control guy does what? The FDOI and the engine. What's the control guy do?
Right. He along with the officer, sometimes the officer directly helps him. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does it on his own. They measure out. They make a quick hose line estimate and figure out, because we have no pre-connects, right? They figure out, okay, 7 lengths. Boom, boom, boom. They make sure 7 come off, so we'll have enough hose for that particular stretch to reach the seat of the fire.
Right. So let's say you end up short and you turn around, you go, hey, Rick, what the hell happened? Well, I thought I'm saying there's another key position in the team, the team effort of the fire attack. So the exterior firefighter is such a huge position on the fire ground. And we haven't even talked extrications and things. So you already talked about it. It could be a probie that, look, is just started. You said the new guy or gal that just started, it isn't clear to go inside yet. And there's a whole bunch of roles we have them doing. You said this before, maybe they have no desire. There are people that join the fire service the volunteer fire service, all about that holding a dead baby in their hands, trying to breathe life, they can't do it. But they'll crawl down hallways with you, or they'll pump, or they'll do whatever. There's just people. Some guys have back surgery, and some departments, which I think is a crime. Okay, you can't go interior anymore, John. Well, we wish you well. Here's your cake. We'll put your picture on the wall. I'm like, wait. Everybody has value. Everybody has a role they can fill. So sometimes it's not even their choice. Sometimes I can't wear an air pack anymore because I just had back surgery and they won't let me. It doesn't mean that you don't want to go in or whatever. Some have facial hair that, the NFPA, the standard, forbids you. You can't do that. You can't get a good seal on your mask. Some people try to say they do, but you can't. The injury, like you said, aged out, whatever. There's a whole bunch of different people that fill that role, but it's vital. And again, we're going to get to the tasks here in a second. So talk about the state of New York. Okay. I know how it is here in Texas, or not here in Texas, I keep saying that, but in Colorado, but in how it was in Texas. So New York actually has two different certifications for firefighter, right? They've got, an interior firefighter certification and exterior, right? You actually can go through to explain the training and how that program works.
Right. New York State Office of Fire Prevention and Control, and it's modified over the years. I've been an instructor for well over 30 years, almost 40 years in New York State, as a state fire instructor and a county fire instructor. Used to be Firefighter 1, then it was initial fire attack, and it was all sorts of different titles over the years, right? For the basic firefighter certification. So, and they're pretty quick to say it's not a certification, right? It's just a training level, right? So now in New York State, they have the first level is really exterior. And I'm trying to remember exactly what the exact name of the class is, but it's the first class that you take, and it familiarizes you with turnout gear and tools and equipment and ladders, and you can do just about everything, but it's not about interior structural firefighting yet, right? And then if you want to be an interior structural firefighter, after you get that first level, that first training certificate, then you go for the interior structural firefighting class, which is a separate, I'll call it an add-on. It complements the first one. And when you get done with that, then you are fully trained interior structural firefighter. And some people get there, and some people stop after the first class and say, that's sufficient. That's what I'm going to do. And again, in the volunteer fire service, there's not a career. There's no pension involved. There's no salaries. There's no difference in cost to the department, whether a guy's an exterior firefighter or an interior firefighter. But, personal preferences, and like you said, medical conditions or whatever the restricting factor is, whatever it is. And obviously we put those people to work tremendously, exterior firefighters. There's dozens and dozens of important jobs that they do at all sorts of other operations and at structural fires as well.
I just met a guy, John, in Connecticut that was recognized for 55 years or 60 years of volunteer fire service. He started when he was 16 years old. Right. And he drives. He doesn't go inside. They said he is the best driver. That's what he did. They said he drove, he worked, that's what he did. He was a professional truck driver. They said the guy's phenomenal. He trains all our new guys how to drive. He's been doing it his whole life. He doesn't go inside anymore. And you and I have seen this, where those are the kind of people in some places they cast aside. They go, well, you're not going to be able to help us anymore. And I'm like, obviously, these are some of the ring knockers, as we call them, these chiefs that don't understand recruit. We want to blame recruitment and retention. Another show we're going to do. It's an article I just started writing. it. The system is broken for the volunteer fire service. We want to talk about recruitment and retention, but our system is broken. We have states that have no means to train volunteers. They expect there's career guys that dabble as volunteers in their days off, God bless them, that are trying to run volunteer fire departments like career departments. A volunteer can't take a week off every other month and go to the state capitol, to the fire academy, and be there the whole week for training to get his or her instructor. In Illinois, and yes, I'll do some brag about the Illinois Fire Service Institute. They have a whole roster of field. I was a field staff instructor, and I did a ton. I did 90-something% of my classes all over the state, not at the state academy in Champaign. John, we would show up. We do weekends. We do Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, 5 days in a row to deliver instructor one. All the class. We brought the classes to the volunteers. The Louisiana State Fire Academies do the same thing. They're bringing the training. People, well, they're not trained up. Well, you know what? Why don't you understand that these are people that have to make a living to pay the bills, and they're committing their life to volunteerism. How about you bring the training to them? Let's get smart about this. Anyway, I don't even get down. That's another show for another day. Our system is broke. And we want to blame the recruitment retention problem.
No. Right.
Yeah, it's a we problem. But so we're talking about, some places have it and some places don't. So I want to run through these. I've been writing these down as you've been talking. I want to go through each task, and I'm going to ask Chief John Salka, 50 years in the Valleys, South Blooming Grove Fire District in Orange County, New York. And I always say it like this: great volunteer fire department, just like Wichita West, just like Estes Valley in Estes Park, Colorado. Okay, in the valley there. I want to describe each task, and you tell me the impact that exterior firefighter has on that. And some of it you may just say, enough said, or you may say, no, this, and they're not in any particular order. Okay. First one I wrote down for an exterior firefighter, because again, I don't know why we separate the two and make them look different and all this stuff. Maybe you have a different front piece. If you have like 60 volunteers, maybe you have a different front. So you could tell them, it's like, look, we have lieutenants and captains have a different color helmet or a different front piece, so you can spot them like this. So maybe that's the reason, but there's not a reason to separate them, like look at their totally different kind of thing. I think that kind of goes against the whole team building process. It's kind of demeaning. First thing, exterior hose line operations. Exterior, and you already talked about it. We don't just call it a backup line. We call it a second line. What does an exterior firefighter do for you on a hose? You're at that structure fire right now that you're missing at your neighbor's. Tell me what let's stay on the exterior line. What would an exterior firefighter be doing with exterior hose line?
Well, obviously an exterior firefighter could pull. They could pull a line off the rig, select the proper either pre-connect or other line, and pull it across the lawn or up to the front door of the building or to the front lawn of the building or the front area in preparation for it being flaked out and charged and used, into windows or however you're going to use it in an exterior manner, right? Obviously, any exterior hose line is exterior, and an exterior firefighter can take any position on that hose line.
Well, so you've got that. So they could stretch the line. So let's talk about, they could stretch a line, get it on the ground for the first arriving crew, or for the second. You got a second engine. You're the chief. You're outside. You're going, Rick, get a line to the front door, get it ready, get it charged. I got a crew coming. You always talk about it. They're not our seconds, right? They're the seconds. Everything we do quicker on the fire ground, not easily, quicker, like we said, on the fire ground, helps us in our overall fire attack. So if somebody can, you imagine, it, that's like saying, John, bring your crew up, go ahead and relieve engine 2 on the line. It's already charged, it's already stretched, it's already there. You don't have to pull it off the rig and mask, that lops off a whole lot of time spent doing it. How about, so you have no problem, you got an exposure that you need to protect. We can put them on the exposure, right?
Absolutely. Another line can be pulled. One line's going in, putting the fire out, and interior operation underway, and maybe some fires venting out one of the exposures, and an adjacent building is becoming involved. Now you can have an exterior team or firefighter pull another line, charge it, and be in an outside, exposure protecting position. Absolutely.
Again, it should say firefighter on their front piece. Another critical role. Again, this is like in the days when you and I first came up with the RIT Mayday concept. People thought the RIT team has to be nailed to the front lawn. They can't do anything. We're like, no, that's not how it's written. The initial rapid prevention crew can soften the building. There are other things they can do. They just can't go in an IDLH atmosphere. They have to be able to readily redeploy as RIT. There's a ton of things the RIT team can do. Well, there's a ton. So that's one. All right, operations, hose line operations on the building, on exposures. Talk about outside vent tasks. What can they do outside for ventilation for you? An exterior firefighter or a couple of them.
Obviously, an exterior guy, the only limitation is he can't he can't jump in the window. He can't go through a doorway, but he can pull ladders around. He can get in a position behind the building or around the back, waiting for the interior team to say, okay, go ahead and vent. And he can systematically and cautiously do some outside venting, breaking of windows, removing of windows or whatever else, plywood for a vacant building, without going into the building, but he's still doing an important job to complement the engine moving in with the line or the search team moving in to make a search.
Well, and you just made me think of another one here that I just jotted down. One of the big key things we always talk about that the OV, the outside vent person, whatever takes care of, whatever, is securing utilities. Can your exterior firefighter secure utilities for you?
Absolutely. And whatever manner you have there, whatever type of electrical systems you have or jobs. Yep.
There's another one I just checked off. Can they serve as your safety officer?
Sure. An exterior firefighter could be an officer, and it could be the safety officer. Right. Yeah.
It could be that guy I was just talking about. It could be the guy that's been on the department forever, that just had back surgery, or just said, you know what, I'm not going in anymore. I mean,
right. Maybe start off the command post and then patrol the scene, the exposures, walk around. You can even go to the roof of an adjacent building and watch what's going on the roof of a building if he had to, right? Sometimes, like I said, there's some of them are the most experienced people. We meet these old dudes, these old guys and gals, and I go, they have more experience than 2/3 of the rest of the fire department, and they're not being used to their potential, or they're being segregated. Let's get you a different color gear so we know you're. Anyway, that whole accidental or on purpose build against the teamwork bothers me. Can they do water supply for you? Can they be the person coordinating your porta tank and your water shuttle? Can they be your water supply officer? Oh, absolutely. Not only water supply officer, but there's a lot of jobs they can do. Obviously, you might be laying a line, and that might be SOP for your department to lay in. You stop at the closest hydrant before you hit the fire. You stop. Exterior guy hops off the rig, goes to the back step, pulls off the tail, keys the hydrant, checks it real quick and says, go. Now he's there connecting whatever it is that you do. You might have fittings on there. You might connect the hose directly. You may wait for the second engine to get there. But this guy's an integral part of the water supply chain, and he's not going to eventually go in. He's going to be just part of that.
Well, and I'll check this one off. I said the hydrant person. Make it the most important thing we could bring to the scene besides our people and an air pack is water. All right, and you've got because it's always like I need someone to grab a hydrant for me. You know what? I got them. What about ground ladder pass placement? You and I have talked about proactively setting a second means of egress for a roof crew, or just setting ladders to the front or rear windowsills in case somebody has to do the get out alive bailout or whatever. You're not running like it's a fire drill around your engine trying to get ladders off. Can they proactively set ground ladders for you?
Oh, absolutely. And not only could they set them, but then they can monitor them and see what's going on. Now those ladders are in position for interior firefighters to come and make a quick, climb and ascent and entry into second floor windows without having to drag a ladder and raise it and extend it and set it under the sill. They can have all that done. Yeah.
The next one I wrote down here, you kind of hinted towards it. The exterior firefighter's role as the driver, operator of the pumper or ladder truck, any rig, but let's just talk the pumper ladder truck. How key is that to have someone that's qualified and committed?
Right. The only possible restriction there would be the ladder truck driver who could, certainly in the FDNY, and I know other places do it as well, certainly the driver, the chauffeur of the truck, might have to position a ladder after the interior team is inside and might have to climb it and assist somebody at a window or maybe climb in and help somebody come out. So that might be one sort of slightly limiting position. But as far as the engine driver, stopping at a hydrant, laying a line in, jumping out and getting water and et cetera. That's you didn't mention tanker. The guys that drive the tankers, like it's sometimes in rural and suburban areas and they have a multiple alarm, maybe they don't have a domestic water supply, maybe they don't have hydrants, and they may need tankers, right? So the guy that drives the 3,000 gallon tanker, there's no reason for him to be an interior firefighter, right? So you can almost say, if an exterior guy's available, let him be the tanker driver, right? Because you don't have to be an interior firefighter to do that.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to like the guy I just talked about, who's like the most talented driver they've ever had in a department, and he doesn't go interior. So what about as a staging officer? You've got a large scale incident going. You've got multiple companies coming in, and you actually set because of how they, especially you in the mountains, you got limited narrow streets. You may have to have them like, don't come up here yet. I'll call you when I need you because we're already plugged up here. Can they serve as your staging officer?
Sure, and a lot of departments do that. I know the FDNY does staging on a third alarm. A lot of departments do it earlier, and it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't matter how you do it. A lot of different ways to establish staging. But you certainly could have an exterior firefighter, an exterior firefighter who's in an officer position, staging officer position, where he could be the guy receiving, engines and trucks and other mutual aid or second alarm resources, and relaying that information to the command post, and then identifying or sending those companies to the scene as requested by the incident commander.
So not only could they do, if we're checking off our incident management checkboard, you've got the command board, your aide has the command board in front of you, the table. We talk about staging. So what about the other divisions of sectors? Can they do sector 3, division C for you? Can they cover the back of the building for you and be your officer in the back of the building, the backyard?
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything that's an outside, obviously that's an outside position. That's grounded in being outside the building and looking at the, exposure 3 or whatever you want to call that. And that works out just fine as well, as long, and all that training and all that experience can come into play there.
I wrote another one down: exterior overhaul. Do an overhaul,
right. Siding and window frames and shutters and soffits. All that stuff can be done. You're not inside the building. Yeah.
How about this? You're big on this. I'm big on this. You got a family standing there. It's cold. They're standing there. They've just been pushed out of their house for a fire. How about family assistance? Can you turn and go, John? You got the family. Get our After the Fire program. You know how our After the Fire program was recognized internationally in Louisville.
Absolutely. And you had that in Louisville. You had even some civilian volunteers, right, in your Louisville Fire Department that had that unit. And you could have a similar thing. You could have a service van that's either staffed by exterior firefighters or others who are not even involved in, operationally fighting the fire in any way, but they're there and immediately available to take care of survivors and civilians and, homeowners. Yeah.
Another important group, your auxiliary group. We had reserve firefighters in Louisville that they did. The city changed the rules, wouldn't let them fight fires, but oh my holy God, were they critical from running our EOC to After the Fire to rehab. Oh, I just meant rehab day. So your exterior firefighters could do rehab for your firefighters. Blood pressures, rehab, making sure.
Winter and summer, you may have to have the misting fans and cold water available for firefighters in Texas during the summertime. Wintertime, you may have to call either a unit or maybe a city bus or other type of vehicle where you could put firefighters in to warm up if it's extremely cold and people are going to be there for extended periods, for sure.
Exactly. Oh, if they're medically trained at rehab, they could be your medical team or they could be your medical team, period. What about PIO? So you got an exterior firefighter and the media starts showing up. Hey, John, do me a favor, dude. Because I have that media checklist we use because, I'm big with the media, big with the public education.
Right. Public stuff. Information officer or the chief's aide, the chief's, field technician, all those positions are available. And they're perfect for exterior firefighters because they're AR firefighters. They are trained. They know what the jargon is. They know what the language is all about. Yep.
So, all right. So I could check off chief's aide, the field incident tech. You mentioned that. When I wrote all these down, we were talking before. Medical PIO, pick it up afterwards. I mean, it's I always talk about, we always talk about the fire triangle, fuel, heat, oxygen, and the tetrahedron chemical chain reaction. But there's two more sides that we never want to talk about: salvage and overhaul. Afterwards, it's like everybody's all about the excitement of the fire, but sometimes the majority of our work is the aftermath. This page 2 is like, okay, guys, we got to pick up all this LDH. We got to pick up all this hose. We got to get the tools. We got the building back together.
Plenty of outside stuff's got to be handled when companies are taken up. Absolutely.
Good God, I can't believe how much stuff I've written down here. What about RIT support? We've talked. You and I are big into RIT. You got a RIT team going after a firefighter or a crew that's down, and you've got a team of people or a firefighter, exterior firefighter outside, shuttling equipment, bringing things. I need more bottles. Stockton, California, our good friends in Stockton years ago, when that second floor came down with 2 firefighters, they lost 2 firefighters. They pinned the captain. They had to get the jaws. They had to get the spreaders to get the roof, the second floor off. You could be going, John, go get me the jaws off the rig. Go get me this. Go get me that. Whatever.
Again, they could be familiar and they're members and they ride on a rig all the time and they know where all the equipment is. So they have all that training and experience and knowledge, and that can be used.
Well, and I wrote this one down next to the chief's aide, part of the unified command support. They could be your runner between you. Hey, go over there. Get with the police chief. Tell them to come over here and meet with me or whatever. Changing SCBA bottles. No, you said this before.
Changing them, showing them. Yep.
Tools, running tools. How about here's a big one for us, Maddie Daly. How about the photo unit? How about someone there taking pictures? You know, how important having someone there, a photographer taking shots and everything else.
Every time we have a working fire, that's pretty much what they do. They get their gear on, but they're around taking pictures. And again, they're familiar with what's going on. So they know what to take pictures of rather than sometimes just, a press person is just taking pictures of firefighters doing different things. And you realize, what is he taking a picture of? Those guys are just like moving an empty garbage can away from the building, right? But a guy who's a firefighter is going to know to be somewhere where a victim's being removed or a line's pushing in or there's fire coming out a doorway that guys are moving into. Yeah.
Well, I used to try and, we used to, with the media I work with Fox News and the rest of them, is train their photographers, because the difference between those that take pictures for the newspaper and those that take pictures for us. They take pictures of fire and smoke. My photographers, the first thing they do, they take a picture of the hydrant. As they're walking up, take a picture of hydrant, because you learn so much how they wrapped, what they did with their hydrant. And they take pictures, how the rig's set up, where the outriggers are, where the wire, they know that. Here's something that's huge right now, and I absolutely love this. Chief Fetzer, Ryan, runs our drone operations. Amboy has a whole drone. I love their drone simulator. New York City has a whole team. I can't imagine the difference now, John. You're running a big job in New York City, and you've always had questions. I've heard you on the radio. I need a size. Tell me what's going on the back of the building. Chief, look, I could show you the roof. Look at the roof crew. Look at they're making.
They have thermal imaging capabilities with those drones, so they can put a drone up in a large commercial building, and they can tell the chief, you know what? All the heat is in the back, the 2-3 corner. That looks like where your main body of fire is, right? Without pushing people in there to find that, you can get some additional information from a drone. Again, something that can be run by somebody standing out in the street or somewhere on the exterior of the building.
Oh, we were just on a wildland job here recently, and we're out there, and I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be a lot of walking to get where this is at. Nope. Chief Fetzer, Ryan, up goes the drone, and he goes, nope, guys, it's all back here. It's over there. This is where it's running. I can see where it's running. It saves you time. It's such a, sometimes technology can come back to bite you in the ass, right? Not with drones, man. Drones, the cops use them to find bad guys. For us, it has done so much. We went from sticking someone in the back of a building to kind of describe for us what they're seeing to still having that person back there. You got to have the human being, but to have this thing where you're going, I'm looking at the crew. I don't even have to ask them about their progress cutting a hole. I'm watching them cut the hole, So one of the last things, God, I have 2 sheets of paper with the stuff we've been talking about for the exterior firefighter. What about scene safety? What can they do as a safety, like setting up the scene, exterior lights, banner tape, crowd control? You actually have fire policemen there, right? That at accident scenes and things like that to direct traffic, right, and so on and so forth, right?
Very big fire police. Fire police is a major component of most volunteer fire departments, and sometimes they're really busy working. Sometimes they're in the most hazardous positions out on the highway, trying to keep people from running the firefighters over or banging into the rigs. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and let me remind our viewers, okay? And I just wrote this all in capital letters. And this is just at a structural fire we've been talking about, except that last thing. We're talking about just what an exterior firefighter, the impact the exterior firefighter has at just structure. We didn't talk wildland. We didn't talk MVAs, accidents. We didn't talk hazmat. We didn't talk dive operation. We didn't talk.
Wildland fires are all outside, right?
Oh, every bit. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it goes back to I'll just say, look, what did Bruno Cini used to, our mentor, our good friend, Chief Alan Brunacini he used to talk about us, the two of us. This is what Bruno would lean over and go, there's never any guessing what's coming out of Salka and Lasky's mouth. There's no surprises. You know what's coming out. Yeah, I was a little bit inside. I didn't say it outwardly, but my little bit of frustration going, really? So you have like it's like they had a whole different fire department. They had different stuff, different thing. I'm like, they're firefighters. I don't. So the difference is one goes in, one does. I mean, I just. Anyway, enough about that. I just was a little bit frustrated.
And from the perspective of the volunteer fire service, who in a lot of places around the country are sort of suffering, trying to keep enough membership, enough people on the line to be able to cover runs and get the job done. You can actually advertise for people and say, listen, even if you're not qualified or even if you're not interested in going into burning buildings, there's still a place for you in your local volunteer fire department. You can still join, and we have a lot of work that you can do to help your community and help the company, protect the community without necessarily even going in.
You and I have said this. Some of the bravest people we know, that I know, cops that would get into a firefight with a pistol with a bad guy. They'd be sneaking around at night trying to come up on a burglar, knowing that they could be shot. Some of the bravest people I know are cops. Okay, soldiers, Marines that would never want to crawl into a burning building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, people pick where they want to place their particular skills or courage. And then, like I said, sometimes you're the new guy. You can't go in yet. I hurt my back. I can't go in anymore. So let me ask you this: as we're going to start closing things out here. So let me pick on South Blooming Grove again, because I know how it is here with the Estes Valley Fire Protection District. I already talked about the volunteer firefighters here are just. They need therapy. They're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. They are a fun group. They are awesome. Okay. They're just, but South Blooming Grove, your exterior firefighters, unless it's a new kid, a new guy or gal that is still figuring out their place and their exterior. I really feel the majority, the ones I've met, they know their role. They know that you don't have to go, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be inside. They know what their role is at any particular incident, right? I mean, you didn't have any issues there, do you?
They certainly know what's out of bounds. I've even had guys come up and say, hey, Chief, looks like the fire's knocked down and there's no smoke coming out anywhere. It looks like it's pretty clear inside. They're looking for guys to go inside and help pull ceilings and stuff like that, And again, I'll use my judgment, Is it IDLH anymore? Is it an immediately dangerous to life and health atmosphere? Or is it perfectly clear now? Is the fire really out and there is no residual smoke or, danger? So, for the most part, they're self-limiting. They monitor themselves.
We had a house fire recently and story and a half frame. Good fire, good job. And we're in there overhauling. And I'm like, guys, we got to get this whole room scraped. The investor came in. I showed him, you and I, we've been doing this long enough. You and I can go, that's the point of origin. That's what happened. This was a cell phone, plugged into the wall next to the bed, heated up and got the mattress, got the wall going. I'm like, this is your point of origin. This is what happened, blah, 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 and all that. And when they said, yeah, we're good with it. You good with it? Good. Now it's time. We got to scrape the room out. We got to get all this burnt crap out of here. So we're not, and that's the bulwark. That's like, oh God. So we're handing out mattresses that are still, we're handing out all the remnants, if you will, the stuff, the fire's out and we've got exterior guys unloading and taking it away from the house. I love the people who just put it outside the window and at 2 a.m, it's rolling up the side of the house again because you took all the burnt up stuff that you didn't put out. They know their role. So I guess it comes back to, John, as we close things out here, the leadership within your department needs to treat everybody with importance, and that every one of your members knows that they have value. You can't pick and choose who's going to be important to you. They all have to know it. You can't just once a year stand up at a microphone and go, "It was another great year here. Appreciate everything you've done." How many times we go to banquets, and that's probably the only time of the year that they hear they did a good job. Training is key. Training, having good policies, good SOGs are huge. The training's big. and understanding their value and contribution to the success of our operation. So we talked about exterior hose line operations on exposures, and so the outside vent position or venting position, stretch additional tack lines, utilities, safety, water supply, hydrants, hydrant person, ground ladder placement, driving and pumping an aerial or pumper, the tender, taker drivers, water supply, staging, all the different divisions of sectors and groups, exterior overhaul, family systems. We talk about traffic control, rehab, medical, PIO, picking up afterwards, RIT support, the chief's aid, drone operations, the photo unit, being a runner or position of assistance at a unified command position, SCBA battle changes, tools, scene safety. I think I'm out of breath, and we still didn't cover everything, and that was just pretty much structural fires.
And that was just a structural fire. Yep.
So wrap things up. Summarize your thought, John. Look, you're my best friend. You're the best friend I ever had in my life. You've been my mentor. You've been my voice of reason. You've pounded me into the ground like a railroad spike when I've been out of line or have said stuff. I told somebody the other day, I said, yeah, he used to hang up on me. I would call him and go, can you believe this? Click, he'd hang up on me. I go, he just hung up on me. And then 10 minutes later, you call me back. I go, can we talk like adults now? And I'm like, yes, I'm sorry. You've always been my voice of reason. And I always do this for a reason on the show. I always go to Chief John Salka, busiest companies in New York City. I will say this. You hate when I say this. A legend with the FDNY. Just one of the great ones. And a great volunteer for 50 years plus. Your summarization, your thoughts on the exterior firefighter.
I mean, it's pretty simple. Exterior firefighters are a vital element of any fire department that has them, right? Everybody doesn't have them, but if you have them, they are a vital and valuable element of the fire department and should be treated so, and not, once the department recognizes it and establishes it and says, okay, well, here's what you guys can do, all these things. This is the one thing we don't want you to do, everything. And as soon as the officers, company officers are aware of that, and everybody's aware of what the limitations are, which are very few, then they become, then they're simply firefighters with a slightly different role than some of the other firefighters. That's really the only difference.
That's it. Their value and contribution to the successful operation sadly goes unnoticed in some places, but not with you and I. And I just thought when we talked before going live, we've never talked about. We've mentioned them like briefly, but we've never done a whole show dedicated to the exterior firefighter and just what they can do. I know I've got a bunch of them in Estes Valley, the Estes Valley Fire District, and they're incredible. That being said, that's a wrap for this one, buddy. That's like I said. We're living out of boxes right now till we get settled. I'll tell you this. You know how much you and I value family. Our first family, the second family, with the firehouse. I can't tell how many members, John, have offered to come help us. They've been telling us for months now, we'll help you when you come. I have my board of directors. A couple of us said, we'll come. Tell Jamie, we'll come help you unpack boxes. We are so lucky, and we are so lucky to be with the. I mean, it's not just Estes Park; they cover the whole valley.
Right.
To be part of the Estes Valley Fire Protection District family, I've got a great crew. I'm just so excited, buddy. I can't wait to get you up there. You're going to be up there real quick.
It's going to be it's going to be a great new chapter in your fire service career. Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just, they're awesome. We're going to have some fun. We're all right. So we're pretty much on all the social media sites. You can find us. We've never missed, John and I have never missed FDIC. We've never missed FDIC. It's the biggest conference. We hope we're going to get to see you there. I have to mention this. I know a lot of you order books from John and I all the time because we sell them at a discount so you can save some money. Plus, we can sign them. You know how to get a hold of John. He's going to tell you in a second if you want any of his books because he's always out of his new book. The new one is a bestseller. They're always reprinting it because they run through them so quick. For me, just give me about a week to get settled, and we'll get you taken care of. John, if they want to get a hold of you, best email for you. ChiefJohnSalka@gmail.com. And my personal email is chieflasky@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, at the department, you can go to our website. again, for the Estes Valley Fire Protection District in Colorado. Please come up for a visit if you're there on vacation. I always say this, John, you know, the coffee pot's always on. Come on by for a visit. I'd love to see you. I'd love to show you around. In closing, we always ask you with all our shows to please keep the men and women in armed forces in your thoughts and prayers. And remember this, please, never forgetting means just that, never forgetting. Be safe. God bless you. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
I've been told by everybody up on this roof that they're all off the roof. I am on the roof of exposure 4. Got fire through the roof of the fire building and the entire rear section. Now remember, given the payday, has been accounted for. Okay. 610B. That was the main gate. 610B.
I'm here. We got a fire. 1.5-story, single-family dwelling. Fire shown from the second floor. Give me a second alarm on this.
Bring up to the top floor. I got people hanging out the top floor windows with a baby.
Commercial building. A lot of fire, a lot of smoke. Go ahead and strike a third alarm on my orders on this.
Got people on the front fire escape here with windows centered below them. We need somebody up there.
Yeah, let them know we got a job. I'm pulling up now. Second alarm, I got a 1-story single-family frame. Heavy fire showing from the attic.
So we're using all hands. We got one line stretched, fire on the 4th floor. Second line being stretched. Primary searches are underway.